Well, good evening and welcome to It's Happening Out, the world's most popular live gay television talk show, broadcasting live and then on demand on Roku, Apple Television, Android TV, Amazon Fire Television, and of course, YouTube and Facebook. It's 9 p.m. Wednesday, July 27th, 2022. I'm your host, Al Ferguson, and we're going to laugh, hopefully, please God, let us laugh, and play through our LGBTQ plus world. Next on It's Happening Out.
This week on It's Happening Out. Join us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. It all starts right now, live on It's Happening Out.
September is going to be our 4th year anniversary, and we have some special surprises to tell you about coming. As you know, It's Happening Out is part of one of the largest LGBTQ plus media companies in the country. Hotspots Magazine has been documenting the LGBTQ plus experience for 36 years. And Happening Out Television Network has been bringing you daily LGBTQ plus news, talk shows, and more for 4. In the same model of PBS and NPR, we are a nonprofit 501c3 organization whose mission is to educate and serve the LGBTQ plus community and throw some shade at some of the people at this table. All right, so let's start by meeting tonight's host. We'll probably start the shade right away. Let's begin by welcoming Kal Gajraj. Kal is a communications executive and an adjunct professor at Miami-Dade College. He also was honored with a Bronze Telly Award for his work as an anchor at Happening Out Television Network, and I'm still very sad he stole it from me. Good evening, Kal.
Good evening. I think you could actually rub my name off of the award. I mean, Fade already gave me a $100 bill.
If I could get into your house, that's exactly what would happen.
If I was going to rub anything on Kal, it wouldn't be his name.
Huh. Wow.
You want to expand on that?
Wow.
It's the dating game.
You can't just drop that and boom.
Oh, yes, we can. Watch me do it now. Let's welcome Glen Weinzimer. Glen is the founder of the Smart Ride, the second largest HIV/AIDS fundraiser of its kind in the country, and owner of Bona Restaurant. Welcome, Glen.
Thank you. It's great to be here yet again in your lovely company, as well as the rest of this testosterone that we're in the middle of.
A lot of it. I don't know where.
There's not a lot of testosterone. There's a lot of guys at the table.
Okay. We'll let that soundbite sit. All right. Next, let's welcome John Hayden.
See?
John's been a journalist for 27 years now, which means he's aged out in the Glen Weinzimer book, and now works for several South Florida outlets, including SFGN, covering politics, arts, and the bar scene, mostly.
I feel like I'm in Tropics.
Exactly. Tropics is going to be on the phone with that lawsuit of cease and desist any moment. The latest on Happy Hours. Good evening, John.
Good evening, Al. Good evening, everyone. Usually at this time, I tell a really corny joke that makes Al groan and Faye roll her eyes. Faye's not here, so tonight I have no joke. These are arriving in the mail this week. They're ballots for this next month's primary. I was with Al and Happening Out over the weekend, covering Florida's LGBTQ Democratic Caucus. Watch his interviews, learn about the candidates, read my articles in SFGN, and then vote. This is your voice. Together, we make it a megaphone.
Absolutely. All right, next up, let's welcome Gregg Shapiro.
Please be nice, please be nice.
He is, I'm the nice one. Faye is the bad one.
Okay.
The author of 8 books and entertainment journalist whose celebrity interviews and music reviews run in a variety of regional LGBTQ plus and mainstream publications and websites. Good evening, Gregg.
Good evening. Thanks for inviting me back.
See, that was really easy.
Okay.
It's
I'll be
early.
okay. Yeah.
It's early.
He's going to hit you when you least expect it.
Exactly. Okay. Who needs a drink? Now we start the show holding up. We're all holding up these shots, and yeah.
Why are we red and they're blue?
They're shots.
Because
All
we're
right.
Democrats.
So for 4 years, we have played.
That's the two white guys.
It's pretty accurate, actually. But
Right, I was just thinking. Maybe there is a little to that, right? All right, for 4 years, we have played our yes or no game called I'd Swallow That. Get it? I'd swallow it.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, most of you here at the table know exactly what that means. We invite you to get a beverage and play right along with us. And in fact, wait a minute, it's 4-1 in that category. I just realized. I'm going to ask you a question and you take the shot if you agree. If you disagree, you put your shot down. Everybody understand? All right.
Got it.
So let's play I'd Swallow That. We're taking our first shot. And Fellow Travelers is a famous novel that tells a story of two government officials who fall in love during the height of McCarthyism and the Lavender Scare. Now it's coming to Showtime, and we're very excited about the leading men. Question number 1, I'd swallow that. I'm paying for Showtime all over again because Jonathan Bailey and that dreamy Matt Bomer are super hot lovers in the new show.
Yeah.
Look at Matt
I'm
Bomer.
going to choke.
You know,
Also Jonathan Bailey.
Jonathan, or not Jonathan,
borrow one of yours?
Matt Bomer is so dreamy, and Greg and I have both interviewed him,
Nice fella.
and he's just a wee one.
Yeah.
He's like what, 5'6"
Wait, what are
or
we
something?
talking about?
He's hot.
Breaking my spell on him.
He's a pocket guy.
Oh, he is a pocket.
Oh, we're talking about height.
So
What
sweet.
were you
Wee
thinking? I got the.
Yeah.
Oh, I got
Pocket gay.
I got the Wii too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think it's exciting that Thomas Mallon's 2007 novel, Fellow Travelers, is not just getting this adaptation, but it was also an opera that actually recently played here in South Florida and has played in many other cities. So it's really
Florida
exciting
Grand Opera.
to see. That's right. It's exciting to see a novel by a gay writer getting this kind of attention.
It's more impressive that you actually have props.
Yeah, and you know what? They could travel. You know where they could travel, Cal?
Yeah. Oh, God.
how would I know?
One curious thing I have about Showtime doing this is LGBTQ community, especially gay men, are we excited still when we see this kind of programming?
Yes.
It's still important to
Absolutely.
us, right?
Without a doubt.
Yes.
Okay, we haven't
No.
become jaded, and it's so old hat now that
Because it's not
we
old
don't.
hack.
Right.
There's absolutely a lot to choose from, but it's not yet old hack. Every time we see it is something new and fresh and new people coming out. I think it's great.
And like most movies in general, and gay cinema is certainly, and television is certainly no different. Most of it's bland, banal, and pandering. This is based off really strong source material, right, Greg?
Really amazing. Yeah.
Not that
Absolutely.
it will be of the same quality, and we hope it's going to be great. But isn't it a different world in 2022 when this is announced versus back in the Brokeback Mountain days? Same kind of story. You know, it is a very similar story as
Story
Brokeback
about the
Mountain,
past, of course.
right?
Yeah.
But you know, difference in terms of the gender identity, LGBT identity of the main characters, because you couldn't have sold Brokeback Mountain with these two when Brokeback Mountain.
And you've got queer
Actors.
and that
really
makes
important.
all the difference.
Yes.
Next time I'll telegraph the entire story in advance so you all know and can move a little
We
faster.
picked up on.
Sure. Okay, let's move on.
Let's not move on. Let's go back.
Yeah, can we go back to the abs, please?
There's lots of sex in this show, and need it for the older guys here at this level. During the Turning Point America rally in Tampa last weekend, now the Turning Point, Lieutenant Governor Nunes. Do you know what state, by the way, she's from? Most people don't. Oh, yeah, Florida. The Lieutenant Governor of Florida said she thinks schools need to not discuss LGBTQ plus community, but should only be teaching the ABCs, because that's what makes great schools. Florida is like, I believe, 48th out of 50 in the nation. Question number 2, I'd swallow that. Florida's Lieutenant Governor needs to learn that the ABCs are really spelled with the LGBTQs. Everybody heard her quote?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's taking LGBTQ out of school is what she said. And schools are going to get better because we're going to take the LGBTQs out and
I don't know
insert
any
the
student that
ABCs.
said to me, "Oh, mommy, today we focused on 4 letters, LGBTQ." I mean, like, just teach the
Mommy,
alphabet.
can you explain to me what the G means in, in the icon? I
can explain what the D means.
There's no D.
Oh yeah, there is.
Oh, I just got that. D.
Really? My goodness, we're going to have to telegraph all the stories tonight to this end of the table. By the way,
Look at the twins.
I was going to say, by the way, as I'm looking at these pictures, maybe we can go in and out. Yeah. Hey, which
Or
one
an
is?
answer.
Which
I feel like
one
it's
is?
an eye doctor test. Better or worse?
It's like watching.
Yeah.
It's like watching
Right.
the Patty
Is it
Duke
possible
show.
it's worse? And one more time. One more and worse. Could it be that?
That's pouty.
Yeah, that's about it. Right. Okay, let's move on. A Reddit user recently posted asking for users to ask him if he were gay without asking he was gay. We didn't quite write that correctly, but the point was he was asking why can't people ask without using the word. Responses ranged from, do you like ABBA? to how many minutes are in a year? That's really great. That is really great. Question 3. I'd swallow that. I long for the good old days when you just ask, do you have sex with men?
Yes.
You long for that time?
I mean, how long ago was
Hell
that?
yes.
Because I ask guys now if they're straight or not.
Do you?
At a
You
gay
have
bar?
to, yeah, because you have to. Even going out to not even necessarily gay bars, but just
At what
anywhere.
point do you make that you're still questioning it?
If
when you
they're-
take them
if
home?
they're
He's
gay,
concerned. Cal's concerned that the other one,
that
because
they maybe not.
Cal's. Wait, let me make sure I put this
Yeah, I'm going to
delicately.
give you a minute. It's not written on your teleprompter.
Oh, wow! Wow!
You just told them
It's
off
true.
by going,
I'm in a teleprompter. Cal is in that bar situation, and he's what is generally considered the easy mark in the conversation, and he's trying to find the straight
on us.
person, making sure that it's not a straight person, that it's a gay person, until it doesn't matter if the straight person likes Cal. Did all of this make
what the
sense?
hell
It made
did
sense.
you just
Yes,
say?
it made sense.
It actually made sense in a twisted way.
In a very
All right. So my question was always, I'd be there and I'd be like, don't you hate when the CVS is out of Magnums?
Oh,
That's
what
your
a come
question.
up.
That's the question I would ask people.
That's
Feel
called
like-
false advertising.
But no, yours I remember was, who do you think is sexier, Hubert Humphrey or Richard Nixon?
And there's the minutes in
Wait,
the year.
I remember what his answer was. And he went for Rosa.
Is the minutes in the year a rent reference? I just want to make sure I'm on the same.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
I'm just,
What's wrong with you? My gosh.
Rent control
Your
in
card
New
is
York City.
suspended for 22 minutes. That's it. All right. Let's move on. Clearly, we need to. When 23-year-old Alex Wollett, a med student from Ohio, began his fellowship at the National Institutes of Health, wait, I'm already intrigued. He never could have dreamed that gay Twitter would have gone into a frenzy of thirst when he appeared in the background during hearings. Did you hear about this?
Oh, yeah.
I watched it.
watched
I
him.
was staring
Yeah.
at him the whole time.
Yeah.
Yummy.
I was
There he
spanking it
is.
the whole
We're showing
the
you.
whole time.
Question number 4. I'd swallow that. The January 6 hearings got a hell of a lot more interesting this week with the sighting of this mysterious Clark Kent.
You know, if he were a proctologist intern, I would sign up for a colonoscopy.
Look at now,
Yes. We should drink a toast to Mr. DCEscort.com.
yeah.
Even with the zit on his head, I'm like, use cover up. I still want to believe that he and Matt Pottinger were a couple.
Does do anything? Do y'all know anything about Alex Wollett? I didn't look him up. I didn't
No, I just
I didn't
remember-
troll him.
Yeah. I just remember
Um,
watching it live
I
and
didn't
texting
troll
my
him
friends.
because mostly I have a cease and desist order on me still in social
Yeah.
media. But so nobody knows anything.
Well, he's
about
bringing some Madison Cawthorn realness to this.
Oh, okay.
He just,
Oh,
Doesn't he look like he'll be played by Dan Levy from Schitt's Creek
no, no.
in the
he's
January
way
6th
better
movie?
looking than Dan
Yeah,
Levy.
he's
Way
I like
better.
Dan
think?
Levy for this thing.
There's
Please.
oh,
He's-
yeah.
Oh,
Please,
This
girl.
boy is.
Yeah.
All he has to do is open his shirt, and it's like dun dun.
Just the fact that his
dun,
tie is
dun,
down
dun,
just
dun.
a smidge is enough to start me.
because the muscles, it's too much for the clothes.
You know, our
Steelty
entire
eyes.
conversation, because this was the kind of conversation that was going on in Reddit. Reddit. Does this reflect terribly on us that we, at our ages, have conversations like this
I
over
was still
just
paying
a
attention
simple
to the
picture?
hearing. I could do two things at once, but the entire time I fantasized about him and
Glenn,
Pottinger.
I know you can't pay attention to two things.
Well, I'm a
That
lot
wasn't
younger
true.
than you guys, and
Yes, you are.
yes, and
It's about time you said something.
and I was up with my friends just texting during the hearings, like, who is this?
Oh, you are.
You know, like-
because I just kept it to
See,
myself.
and that's one of the things I wanted to point out. I didn't know if anybody did much investigation of him. That's what happened in Reddit. Reddit, nobody knew who this was. They didn't initially know who his name was. But the salacious conversation that was going on.
And the credit goes to the gays because they're the ones that were screenshotting this and posting on social
Exactly.
media.
I
and
want someone
sharing
to
it.
interview him because I want to know who he is because the world wants to know.
Yeah.
He's
You
someone's
need to come out,
intern,
Alex.
obviously, or handler.
All right.
He can handle me.
I just worry that he can't
Yeah.
speak
He
in
can-
complete sentences.
and he can be an intern.
no.
I worry that he
No.
can.
No, he's
I'm
a
worried he'll know the word
medical-
stop.
He looks college educated.
Yeah, no, well, and
Well, didn't we say he was a doctor?
yeah,
From that
well,
standpoint?
or something related to. Who cares? He's,
Well, otherwise my
Open your
proctology
shirt.
joke makes
Dun,
zero
dun,
sense.
dun, 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 dun. All right, let's move on. And by the way, I asked production now that they've outed me on the teleprompter, perhaps they can out me on a clock. Also, that would be great.
Hey,
All right.
Guru, am I-
All right. So I've kind of got lost of my place because I'm looking at his picture. All right, let's move on. Now that the film Them is out, we are happy to report it's everything we hoped it would be. A psycho passing laws to prevent LGBTQ plus kids from having safe spaces and trying to normalize conversion camps. The thesis of this movie sounds terrible to me, but I haven't seen it yet, but it's getting great comments, although perhaps we can finally hear some independent analysis on it. Wait, sorry, we're confusing what Kevin Bacon movies are with real life. I take back everything I just said. Question number 5. That was really a shady read. Question 5, I'd swallow that. I think them is what our world is really becoming. Now, this is how we turn it. If DeSantis and Abbott get their way. Oh, and there's also a horror movie. I'll drink to that.
Yeah. You know, Blumhouse does good trailer. The problem is they often are hit and miss on living up to the hype.
They forget to turn the sound on.
Yeah, or worse yet, they do turn the sound on. They do just enough. Like Happy Death Day, I loved, but they also gave us Fantasy Island.
Yes.
You know,
Shame.
and good news, you all hear, you know, the 6 Degree of Separation game with Kevin Bacon. You are all now 1 degree because I have interviewed him. I would consider him a good friend. And
I've interviewed
yeah,
him and
right.
his brother, I actually.
Yeah,
both.
and have you talked to his wife?
Him on
No,
any
oh,
of these?
I wish I'd love to.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
How are you doing?
No, I would just let me
Yeah.
You know,
because I'm
not
still
yet.
under embargo.
Happy that we're
I'm still
we're
under
here.
embargo, but I would say
I'm hoping
please,
this shit gets over really
Read-
quickly because I need to get to dinner.
Yeah.
And,
please read my review
if I
in
hear
SFGN on
one
Friday.
more
Oh,
story
you did
about
do
some
something.
celebrity
I did
that
do
was
it. Oh, he's
interviewed
in
on
in
Thursday?
1988.
Yeah.
Wow.
Kevin
Hi.
Bacon he was doing Footloose.
I watched
Or in
the
bed with the queen.
visual of some of these characters is really good.
Yes.
So
But read
there's
my
no sound.
review on
I'm
Friday.
sorry. I checked out for Cal and I checked out for about 5 minutes. Did anybody say anything of any consequence? No? Then let's move on. Brad Pitt is
drank today,
always sexy.
We did.
When he showed up for the premiere of his new movie, Bullet Train, last week, the crowd was shocked by his look. A brown linen suit jacket with a pink button-down shirt and a matching brown linen skirt. The internet had very mixed reactions to it, but most were applauding his challenging of gender norms and him showing his sexy legs. Question number 6. I'd swallow that. Brad Pitt wearing a skirt on the red carpet.
you don't need to finish.
Sorry. I choose his cowboy hat and underwear in Thelma and Louise.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, Brad Pitt.
Wait,
Flawless.
don't
It was
speak for a
flawless,
moment.
of course.
Don't even speak. Can you take down the lower third? Can we see more?
there more?
Please, God.
Oh,
yeah.
But just some
the
buttons.
unbuttoned
Yeah.
jeans.
Unbuttoned jeans.
Right.
Yeah.
He was a lot younger then too. just
Well,
to say.
really? I didn't
So
know
were
that.
we.
Now, can you do a side by side with his view, or just come back to it again? Now, look at him now, then, and now. It's a perfect example. Well, see, you're not up close enough to see it. It's the stereotype of age. Brad Pitt is not aging well. Does anybody disagree with that? He's not aging well.
Well, my
Now,
eyes
that's-
aren't that good either, so I think it was
right. Obviously, Glenn's not
What
aging
bothers
well.
me about this in particular is that I kind of miss the days when celebrities wore evening gowns and tuxes to red carpet events. I just kind of love that, the glitz and glamour of it. And second of all, he needs an iron or a steamer or
Linen
something. So
is
it's
very specific,
so
isn't it?
150 degrees out.
It's so wrinkly. Like it's
And-
unacceptable.
And what do you think about his army boots with his linen skirt?
This is not fashion. I don't know if anyone will come out and be like, "Oh my gosh, she was like the fashion icon of the year." But I don't understand
I
how
got a
anyone
few
can look
lesbian
at
friends
this
that would do that.
and think that this is acceptable by any fashion means.
You know, the one, I completely agree. You know, you'll talk among yourselves. I
Again?
completely agree with you. And you know what's interesting
Playing
about
favorites.
this is
Faye's not here, that's why.
Brad Pitt does that. And here's the one positive of that mess is he does that because he's influenced by LGBT culture like Pose. And so he's seeing Cinderella and what is happening there and countless other places.
Or Harry
The singer
Styles.
Harry
Styles, of
Styles,
course.
right? I was going to say
Totally.
the singer Harry Styles.
No.
And he's being influenced. And at his age, by the way, he's my age. Brad
Really?
Pitt is my
I wouldn't have
age.
admitted to that
Yeah.
because that makes him my age.
Yeah. That he is your age.
And you know what? I look more like him than you do.
And I saw you in that last night when we.
You've
met him, right?
You don't know this. Glenn and I went out last night, and that's what he was wearing. Yeah, right. I missed this
It was
one.
just me and a
though.
blow dryer.
I swear to God, when I watched Thelma and Louise, this was like, if I didn't know, because I was in college when I saw this, and when this came out, I knew I was gay. It forced
Took you
me
that long?
out. Yeah, I was in the closet a long time.
Rob,
Yeah.
He was beautiful.
Robin had
He
me.
was-
Beautiful.
Yeah.
My goodness. You remember the underwear scene where he was in his underwear? Oh,
I remember
right.
it often.
yeah. Ew. Could y'all move over that way a little? I need to.
Hands
This is, why,
above
this is
table.
why Al doesn't let me sit in seats 2 or 4.
Right.
You probably still have a VCR tape.
Exactly right. And again, I'm reminding production, a clock would be really. Next up, let's consider our best thing of the week. RuPaul has had a long career. Most people don't realize that her first mainstream gig was in music videos. No, not for her own band of Wee Wee Pole. She was one of the dancers in Love Shack, the music video. You can peep her in drag with a massive afro wig on. So our best thing of the week is I'm shocked that RuPaul's first major performance of her entire career in modern pop culture was B-52's 1989 Love Shack. You see her there. Most people, I showed this to.
Yeah, there's this great community there, and they support each other.
You know, there was Rue was in another video before this. It was a little independent thing that's still out there on the internet. It's called Pickle Surprise. Pickle Surprise. You've never seen that?
I've never
It's got
You're not on your meds, are you?
It's I am not. It's got Lady Bunny in it. Like it was in the mid to late 80s.
Oh,
It
is this
is. It is.
I've never heard of this.
It is worth checking out.
When I hear this, I think about what was the one, and they said that RuPaul was hired as a drag queen. She had no prominence at all when she did this in 1989. Nobody knew who she was. She was a drag queen in Atlanta, and they hired her. She was hired as just an extra in this scene, and the scene of what they were going to do in the Love Shack was this, but it had no energy at all. And she said, well, if you're going to do this, and basically voiced up, this is how you should do it. And they let her choreograph, block this. And principally, this scene is RuPaul. You're watching way more importance than her because there's no words, there's no singing, it's just her. But the most important of this scene is that this is RuPaul.
Awesome. Thanks
Yeah.
for
First
sharing
scene,
that. That's
at
incredible.
the B-52s. All right. You're probably not going to read that in a John or a Greg column
No,
anywhere.
not at all.
Next, let's catch up
much
with hot gossip. You two talk among yourselves.
Have you ever met RuPaul? I'm just curious. Because you never mention her. A chia pet.
You are hateful. All right, next, let's catch up with the hot gossip from the world of celebrities in our segment called Queer Entertainment with Hotspots Magazine. Out.com recently posted an article where they scoured the internet for the scoop on which gay celebrities are tops and who are bottoms.
I see what we did there.
Yeah. Right?
Good eye.
While they drew some of their decisions from jokes or song lyrics, it brings up the conversation that is ever ongoing, especially among gay men, about why we even care as the concepts of top and bottom become, I've already told, by the way, a top and bottom joke of there's 4 at the table. As the concept of top and bottom become more and more antiquated. Cal's counting.
I'm going to need more vodka.
1 bottom, 2 bottom, 3 bottom, 4.
We asked the question, does it matter to younger gays or just the older crowd?
So if there were 4 of us on an island and you were the only top, would everyone remain a virgin?
Oh, yeah, that would be, oh, yeah, there's so many good answers there.
I know.
But I would lose my gig. Wait, let me finish.
Oh, yeah.
Let me
Go ahead.
finish.
Something
Let me
important.
finish. Our entertainment headline of the week is, why are we so obsessed with queer celebrities who talk about being top, bottom, or versatile? Why
I think it's
are
a fantasy of it, just being able, because we put these celebrities on a pedestal, first of all, and they're untouchable to us. So we kind of fantasize about them in a sexual way, either, bottoming for us or topping for us. And it's just a fun topic to talk
I'd
about.
have the same fantasy if it's a straight man.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not
Fair
obsessed, but Ross Matthews is a top. I repeat, Ross Matthews is a top.
Girl bye.
who?
Says Ross Matthews.
Ross Matthews.
Matthews.
Oh, that was like a millennium ago.
That was
literally.
He must.
almost 20, that was almost 30 years
So now
ago.
that he's married, is he more versed now that he's married?
Well, I've seen his husband, so he may be a top.
You haven't interviewed him?
Ross?
Is this someone you missed?
I haven't.
I didn't interview him. We just were chatting one time.
RuPaul, top or bottom?
Bottom.
Power top.
Power top.
Top.
Yeah.
No, I have no idea. I'm just curious what y'all thought.
But you know what's actually kind of funny about that is that
They're
the
amazing.
majority of drag queens that I do know, they're tops,
Right.
which I find fascinating.
Yeah.
But it's cool.
Yeah. But the broader issue, why do we obsess over, and not just celebrities, in our own community, among ourselves, why do we obsess over top or bottom?
Because we love talking about sex.
Well, and also, I think we're like, okay, well, if they are gay or if they are into me, is it really worth it? Because, like, if I find out that they're a bottom, I'm like, keep moving.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Really? It's as harsh as that? The chop
you know
comes
what?
that quickly?
Look, I am
top and
too
bottom.
old.
You know,
I am too old to deal with stuff that
swear to
I
God,
don't want to deal with
I have
anymore.
got to get
That's
a new
called
gig.
lazy.
I've got to get a new gig.
That's completely
First off,
lazy.
that wait, there
I mean,
it is.
that is-
Now,
I was a
see,
top. I was,
there's my
I was a
joke.
top. I was a
Or
top in
whatever.
my 20s. Okay.
Okay.
20s are for trying. 40s and the eve
Not in
of
my
50.
20s.
I'm just ready.
This morning, I was
You
a
just need
top.
Pills? Is that the problem?
Popper.
taking
Popper,
pills.
Popper.
Taking pills is not my issue. Trust me.
Okay.
So your country needs you. You need the top.
Yeah.
Wait, so
Don't abandon.
Because we're on this island alone and he's our only option.
I'm assuming it's a tropical island, and then there
You
will be
should be
plenty.
so lucky,
and there will be
dude.
plenty of bananas on the island.
but here's the thing: your immediate dismissal of I'm moving on, because that assumes that even to people that primarily are bottom can experiment in different ways
Sure.
to create pleasure. There could be toys where both bottoms can enjoy it, and using toys. And even if there's not anal penetration, there can be a intimate relationship. There can be
100%.
oral, etc. you immediately. Now, I'm not really calling you out, but
You are.
if you, yeah, I do. In the absolutes of move on, dude. You don't think it's worthwhile to pursue possibilities?
If you
No.
really dig
No,
somebody,
seriously.
I'll still be friends, but I'm not going to be like, oh, so let me go buy you $100 worth of drinks at Drink, which by the way would be 2 drinks.
Oh,
So you're not open to being verse at all?
or you're not,
No.
you're not
No?
open to
Oh.
a
I was just saying,
relationship.
open your mind when you open your legs.
Wait.
Top in my 20s, verse in my 30s,
Exhausted in your
legs in the air,
In your
40s and up.
and your 50s.
So you do at least put your legs up. You don't just roll over.
Oh, yeah, no. Well, no, and then again, it depends.
I
Is
got
it-
more
is it-
respect for you.
But is it a Tempur-Pedic mattress? Is it just, the
sure.
alley behind Ramrod? I mean, there are just so many factors.
There
All
are-
right,
yeah.
let's take a quick poll. Let's.
I'll take a quick poll.
There's more people at the table that identify in this principally in this way as John. Do you all agree with that? I really don't want to experiment around. This is what I like, and so therefore I'm going to do what I like.
100% disagree.
Why?
Because if I like somebody, I really want to please them. So there's a compromise because for me, if it's just about having sex and you're going to a bathhouse or you're just picking someone up for the night, great. You have your thing you like. You don't really care, great. But if you have a relationship with somebody, you really care about them.
Well, he's not talking about relationship. He's talking about the meet, and I'm in a bar and I meet you and I like you and you're sexy and you're interesting to me. But this is
At our age,
what
we
I
don't always
want.
have that many options.
We used to call
They could
that
be picky.
tricking.
Are you going to weigh in here?
I'm gonna wait because I know for me, like primarily, my preference is to bottom.
You don't say.
Surprise. But I mean, I've been in, relationships and situations, sexual encounters with another bottom, and we had a great time.
Yeah.
Where I topped
Why?
and we reversed.
Explain to us why.
Because it was more about just the
Discovery.
not necessarily, the discovery,
is.
but just like the intimacy and just the sexuality of it and just pleasing each other and, two people just having fun and exploring each other's bodies and, anything can happen.
And it was a good experience.
It was an excellent experience.
Now, it's interesting to me because this is where we deviate. I understand what you said. You heard my recommendations and my questions of John. I have never bottomed ever in my entire life.
Would you?
And I really don't think I would. And I have, so when I came down to Fort Lauderdale 4 years ago, especially many people in production, I mean, I have been shamed and shamed and shamed and shamed. And oh, by the way, shamed for my proclivity of choice. And I've thought a lot about it. Why am I not interested in it? And I keep coming back to the point of, well, can I just not be interested in it? Is that enough? Well, for most people, most gay men, that's not enough. They can't leave it at that. It's no, there's something wrong with you. No, you're too selfish. No, you're not willing to experiment. No, there's
People have said that
something
to you?
that's, oh my goodness, today.
Girl.
Right, girl.
Girl, I'm
And my only thought is, I always think about that. And second, it's just not something that I principally.
Well, if you don't like it, you don't like it, and I think that's fine. But then no one should push you to bottom.
and or vice versa.
Yeah.
Shame the
But
bottom
also
from
knowing
the top.
you don't like
And
it
but
without
that's
having
what
tried.
we do. Well,
I've never been with a girl.
Neither have I. I'm a Kinsey
Neither have I.
six.
So one of my
You're a
friends.
Kinsey
well,
six.
you
So-
know you don't want to do that.
So one of my friends actually asked me, "Like, well, how do you know you're gay then? If you've never been with a girl?"
Yes.
Intuitive.
So I presume he's been with a
Gay
guy.
man?
Well, I asked him the same question too, and I'm like, "How do I know you're straight?" He's like, "I never been with a guy," and I'm like, "You want to?" That's usually how it happens.
So what happened?
And you've
but-
had sex with straight,
I have,
and
yeah.
frequently
I
you've
have,
had
yeah.
experiences. Yeah. Well, that's what that color skin brings you.
Yes.
I'm jealous as all hell. It's just interesting to me because gay men, we have lots of double standards. I mean, clearly, we all know this. The groups that would identify themselves as power tops, they shame the bottoms. The power bottoms go, you're not good enough, you're not big enough, you're not great enough, you're blah, blah, blah. We
Amen.
shame you.
I'm sorry.
There's something
We're gonna
wrong
have
with
to-
God. And we just do this. We get into this place where enough is never enough. Do y'all agree with that?
But
That
I
that's
think
what we
it's
do?
also
we all
the,
just
the
get
world we
along?
live in right now, because you go to Grindr or one of these places, which is where a lot of people end up meeting, and you check off the box of what you want. So there is no room for negotiation. You're like, oh, that's what I want. I'll just be ready when they get here. It's not like when we used to go out and you'd meet somebody, you didn't know what their proclivity would be. You just went home and there was that sexual energy, and you had a great
Discovery.
night, and maybe you had penetration, maybe you didn't.
You know, it's another example of how the world is. I don't know. We
Evolving?
might be, well, and we might be a bit off track. If you are in you're a gay man, and if you are very hung, it is much easier for you than if you're not. Well, but how come? Well, who taught us to think this way, to respond this way? Someone did, because it was not a
It
natural.
wasn't my mother.
And
Wow.
what were we talking about? I just went completely blank. It's just a situation where we find the extremes in every possible way, and you know, for me, it is, to be honest with you, it's always been relatively easy, but I don't think it's relatively fair, and that's why I think this is an interesting conversation, because we shame ourselves in so many different ways, and I think that keeps us from happiness and joy.
Yeah. I mean, there's
Anybody
definitely,
disagree with
you
that?
know, there's definitely a prejudice that exists amongst the gay community, amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, the jocks and the twinks and the bears and, you know, everyone else, everyone is in their little groups, and, you know, there's a little hateful to each other, and it's kind of like, it's the Mean Girls effect.
I'll give you an example. I went, when I came down here, and it really was a shocking moment, I went to a party at Leatherworks, and it was a fundraiser for IML. I don't really remember the details of it. And I was with a woman, and and went to this party, and it was an open bar, and it was in the alleyway where they were doing the party, and I was with a woman, and she was dressed in the appropriate attire for a leather event. And we went inside, and there was lots and lots going on inside, and it basically had become a den or a bathhouse, however you wanted to define it. And she got involved, and I was shocked, because it was like, wait, what possibly could be entertaining lesbian for this lesbian in this environment? And I remember thinking to myself, Al, you are clearly so ignorant on so many things that I make a classification judgment and go, oh, that's what it is. And that moment was really good for me, because I realized, oh, I got to stop. I got to
There's
work
a
on
spectrum,
stop.
right?
Yeah,
for
right.
sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah. All
And
right.
I think we also judge each other. We make an assumption, not judge, an assumption. That's a bottom. That's a top.
Yeah.
That's a bottom.
And I agree with you, but let's make sure we're clear. Did I make the incorrect assumption by this table?
Yes. I mean, because I'm verse. And I was, you laugh all you want, but I was a total top until I had some issues being able to perform. And now that I found something that works for me, I am more than happy to be on top of things, because that's what I enjoy.
Oh,
but in
okay.
order to have the intimacy, when the other part wasn't working the way it should, I took the other role.
Okay. And what was your preference?
Top.
Okay. Well, so you are a top. Something got in, something interfered that natural process.
But I don't mind it.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I don't mind it. I enjoy it. If you're with somebody and just, yeah, it's great. And if the person can be verse also, it's a fun swapping back and forth.
Yeah. Okay. I've seen that in videos. I have a few friends too. All right. Well, and it's an interesting conversation, and it's one of the reasons why we love gay Reddit. If you're not watching that thread, you should. I think it has like 900,000 people in it. It's amazing. All right. Each week at It's Happening Out, we ask our host about what is important to them. But the twist is that it must be in just 30 seconds, or you will hear the bell, which I do not have in front of me. And here it is, and that was a segue of a transition. See, it was seamless as that. This segment is called What's on Your Mind? And let's start with Kal Gajraj. What's on your mind this week?
So last night I attended one of the commission ceremonies for the new USS Fort Lauderdale ship that's docked here at Port Everglades. and
Oh,
it was
it's Fleet Week, isn't it?
and it
Hello,
was-
Sailor.
Yeah, so, and the event was actually, it was a patriotic concert by the South Florida Symphony, which is one of our premier nonprofit arts organizations here in South Florida. And I was really excited that they had that opportunity and that platform to perform in front of a larger audience. And not many people know, but the president and CEO is Jacqueline Lorber and Maestra Sabrina Alfonso, who's a couple, a lesbian couple, who run the South Florida Symphony organization. So congratulations and bravitudes to everyone in the company.
And I have got to watch out this week, Fleet Week. Yay! All right, and Glen Weinzimer, what's on your mind this week?
Voting. Voting has been on my mind, and how do you motivate youth to take action, to become engaged? What is that thing that will make them come out and take some ownership with everything going on? Right now, votes matter, votes count. You know, you brought out the ballot before. It's important. And
You brought out the ballot before.
you switched seats because it's a different segment. Anyway, you know what? You look alike. I can't tell you apart. You're both wearing glasses. But voting is top of mind.
Don't
right
even
now.
get us started on the hair.
Top and bottom again, or what?
Yeah, well, that.
So that's my.
One thing that I would add to that, it's not only youth. How do we motivate the old,
You're
gay,
correct.
white guys on Wilton Drive? That's a problem. All right. And John Hayden, what's on your mind this week?
Reverend Patrick Rogers, the longtime pastor of United Church of Christ in Fort Lauderdale, passed away last night after a short fight with cancer. He was spiritual and gregarious, and it didn't matter if you were a congregant or an atheist, he loved you. I got to know him through my work as a journalist, and at first I admired him, then I called him a friend. He wanted a better world and better lives for everyone. And just a month before he died, he organized Gun Safety Sunday, working to give out free gun locks. I was there as they prepared the packets of info with gun locks, and you'd never know he was in a fight for his life. It was so successful, the entire UCC congregation nationally wants to go with it. He saved the lives of people who will never know who he was. That was Patrick. I could go on, but Al has a bell. Al, could you please ring it loud for Patrick?
Lovely sentiment. And Gregg Shapiro, what's on your mind this week?
On my mind this week is gratitude to Richard Peabody, who's the editor of the long-standing literary magazine Gargoyle. This is the final print edition, and I'm very lucky to have 4 poems in this issue. You can find out more about the publication at gargoylemagazine.com. It's an amazing publication.
Lovely, and congratulations to you. And normally I don't say anything about what's on my mind, but I am this week. On Monday, Core News Tonight and Happening Out Television Network is going to be broadcasting the candidates debate and forum of Wilton Manors. Now, we've joked for 4 years when we launched this show, It's Happening Out, that we were broadcasting from the gayest place on planet Earth. Wilton Manors is one of the largest and most dynamic queer communities, not only in America, but really in the entire world. To say this is a gayborhood would be totally misunderstanding what Wilton Manors is all about. And in the past, at times, the entire city commission has been LGBTQ. This year, currently, it is all but 1 seat, which is the mayor. And it doesn't really matter whether you're LGBT or not, you're still LGBT in this community. So the debate and forum is going to be broadcast, it's going to be live, and you can come in person, which is really what I encourage you to do, at Hagen Park Community Center at 6:30, or you can watch it in Roku, Apple Television, etc. It's very, very important. Wilton Manors has many problems. And if we want Wilton Manors to continue to be one of the best gay LGBT places in the world to live, you have to take responsibility in your community. And there's multiples of candidates, some that you're going to find very acceptable, some that you're going to find not acceptable. And you should learn and explore those in doing that. I'll be asking questions at the forum. I'll be working with my colleague, John Hayden from South Florida Gay News, and several other reporters that'll be asking questions. You have the opportunity to ask questions, so come and participate. Be in attendance or watch it on our platforms because it's really important for Wilton Manors.
And one of the things that the group is doing is they're also making it a fundraiser for Smart Ride. So they'll also be doing good to help with the HIV/AIDS in our community and raising awareness for
Absolutely,
for the
and I apologize for not mentioning that. Come and make a donation to help Smart Ride, which is coming up in November. All right, next up, not all sleep is created equally. And we're going to do an interesting topic tonight that many in LGBT might be aware of or likely are aware of, but not really understand why. Medical studies are showing that many Americans don't get enough restorative sleep. That's the important phrase. Even if they are asleep for the appropriate amount of time, generally considered between 7 and 9 hours. And the reason is things like stress, alcohol consumption, medication, pre-workouts before you sleep, and other performance enhancers are, including recreational drugs, by the way, can reduce the amount of restorative sleep that we get. Our hot topic headline of this week is, in our LGBTQ plus stress-filled world, we are not getting the amount of restorative sleep that we need to be healthy and happy. And it is actually causing damage to your physical and mental well-being. What do you think about restorative sleep? Now, we're not talking about the number of hours you were asleep. We're talking about the number of quality hours that you get. Restorative, to rejuvenate the battery, basically.
Well, I think it begins, though, with the number of hours, because if you don't have enough time blocked out to even start to get to restorative sleep, like if you're going to bed at 2 in the morning and you have to be up at 7, you're not even set up to begin to get it. So first you have to make a lifestyle where you can say, yes, I can block out this 8 hours plus the time to fall asleep before you can even begin to get it. But you're right, it's hard. And, alcohol affects it. I've recently severely cut back my drinking, and I started having a couple edibles in the evening before I would go to sleep, and it helped me get to sleep, and the first half of my sleep was fantastic. But then around 5 o'clock in the morning, I started coming out of it. I can be conscious of being restless and things like that. So it's really about, if you're not getting it, work with your doctor. I've been working with my doctor for a year now, and I'm finally getting to the point where I can do that. So I really appreciate it, and I really encourage other people to look into it.
Other thoughts?
I know I normally get around 6 to 7 hours of sleep, but that's from when my head hits the pillow to when I wake up. So I don't know how many hours I actually get of restorative sleep, but I know that as soon as my head hits the pillow, I'm out.
Studies show in this, there's a big LGBT study on restorative that was released in the first quarter. A study showed that you don't get to the place of being qualified as restorative for about 90 minutes.
Okay.
So you've fallen asleep and it takes about 90 minutes for it really to have effect.
Interesting.
And it ends approximately 45 minutes before you actually come awake. So that's the length of the restorative sleep.
Even if you set the alarm clock? Because when you're woken,
I don't recall the study specifically addressing that issue, but in general, that's what it was saying of what your sleep pattern is, and the reporting basically says when you go, it's 7 hours, or like in your instance, it's 6 hours. It would not surprise me at all that you're actually sleeping 3 to 4 hours a night.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm laughing because he's over here yawning. I think we were about to put him to sleep.
Yeah. Well, that's mostly because he was listening to himself.
Well, I'm an insomniac and have been an insomniac for a number of years. So I don't remember the last time I've actually gotten restorative sleep. But I'm one of those people who the minute I'm laying my head down, I'm out.
I'm out also, yeah.
And then I just automatically wake up. And I'm one of those people, when I wake up, I am buzzing. I am flying around the house.
Not me.
So, and whereas my husband isn't functioning until he's had his third cup of coffee. So it's an interesting thing that maybe there is restorative happening because I am so awake the minute I get up. But I don't remember.
I'm pose an observation in terms of my reading on this. No, that's not the conclusion. I would guess if we had a sleep expert with us, especially talking about the stress of LGBT, because that's really the focus of it, that stress is the #1 contributor to preventing restorative sleep. That in your situation, when you say you're an insomniac or you don't sleep well, that is an indication that you're not sleeping well.
Yeah.
And you've convinced yourself because of this symptom when I awake, I must have slept pretty well. Well, they're not the same thing. And so likely you're convincing yourself that you're sleeping.
I
better
remember
than you
very
are.
early on, one of my first jobs I had when I moved here, I was tired all the time. I had the most miserable boss that used to scare everyone. People used to sneak out of the office to go to lunch by leaning against the wall so he couldn't see you because he'd scream. And the day I resigned was the first night I didn't get up, twisted him in the sheets. I was constantly, I had no idea how tense I was at night. But as soon as I resigned from the job, I slept and literally didn't move the whole night.
Yeah.
And it was stress. It was completely stress.
Yeah. And you've got to look at other environmental factors as well. Like when I was working in television, I had a very different schedule than what I've gotten adjusted to. Like I used to sleep with my blinds open. One, for the neighbor's benefit, and two, because I thought because I have an east-facing bedroom, and it was very helpful to sort of gently wake up with the sun. You don't wake up to an alarm; you just the light starts to come in, and I woke up, and that worked for a while. But when I left television, that didn't work for me anymore because I was on a completely different schedule. So that's just me. But look at the environmental factors. Your bedroom, any lights that come from other parts of the house, just. Everything about your sleep space and its surrounding space really will affect the quality of sleep that you get.
Do you think that's also considered sleeping with someone in the bed also? Do you think that's a contributing factor?
I don't have that.
Well, people
versus
talk about
sleeping
that.
alone
They sleep better
versus sleeping with
when
someone?
they sleep in separate beds. Married couples who've been together for a long time, say they get better sleep when they're not sleeping in the same bed.
Do they?
We sleep in the same bed.
He has insomnia.
I thought
And the dog sleeps over
I thought we had a slide from this study on recommendations, but apparently we don't. But I can tell you a couple of the big ones. In the recommendations for restorative sleep, the top recommendation is no internet, no phone, no television 1 hour before you get in bed. So if you've scheduled sleep that you want to go to bed at 11 o'clock, starting at 10 o'clock, you're completely finished.
And it's interesting because I actually have that setting on my iPhone that it goes into sleep, that do not disturb. So an hour before my sleep time, it actually turns my notifications off.
Yeah.
So if someone texts me or something's going on within that
Do you
hour,
turn off the television?
I do.
You
Yeah,
do?
I don't go to
Okay.
sleep with the TV on.
Okay.
I turn off the TV, but I
But do you
watch
give
TV
yourself
till
an
I sleep.
hour?
I do.
You do?
I do.
Okay.
That cuts an hour into my time.
Yeah.
Because I don't go to bed till like 2 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'll watch a show that late. I watched a movie the other night, and then my alarm went off at 8, and I had like 5 hours of sleep.
Okay.
But like my head hits the pillow and I am out. But I also have a sleep apnea machine, which I think also helps me go into REM and not come out of it.
Yeah, yeah. Number one, I generally hear rejection in this conversation, but their recommendation is that it's 1 hour of interruption, that none of our technology or artificial light of televisions, our phones, our computers affect us because it keeps our brain
helps.
active.
Yeah, it helps.
That's the number one recommendation. A standard sleep schedule was the number 2 recommendation. If you're going to go to bed at 11 o'clock, go to bed at 11 o'clock. If you're going to go to bed at 2 o'clock, go to bed at 2 o'clock, but always go to bed at 2 o'clock. Because when you modify it, you're interrupting your sleep schedule, and your brain is teaching you how to sleep. And the other, surprisingly, the number 3 recommendation is when you eat and drink, and not just alcohol, but any kind of liquid, water. Because if you consume too much in terms of liquid close to the time that you're going to sleep, it interrupts your sleeping pattern because your physical body is telling your brain you have to relieve yourself. And as a result, you might fight it and your brain may fight it.
Or you
but
might want to
it's
get plastic
still,
sheets.
Yeah, and there's that too.
Can I borrow
That
yours?
Possibility.
I don't have
Yes,
them. I can hold it
exactly.
all.
Right, okay. You need to think about it. We're in a stress-filled world in LGBT. We're under full attack, politics, evangelicals, and God forbid if you go to school these days in Florida. So get restorative sleep. It's not just the number of hours that you're asleep. Finally tonight, let's play a game that we have played in every episode of It's Happening Out since our show launched in September of 2019. It explores 3 interesting people, and I assure you none of them are at this table tonight. Who you would do
We're still broadcasting.
and why. Right, it's shady. It's got to be a little shady. I told you at the top, by the way. I gave you all fair
Again
warning.
with the top.
The library.
There it is.
No, we heard you.
Exactly right. All right. The game, top and pseudo top. The game is called Shag, Marry, Chop. We invite you to play right along with us. Tonight's theme is celebrating today as National Creme Brulee Day
Yum.
with these sexy bakers. See, we find every possible.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay,
No
now I'm going to
way.
enjoy. So this week we are going to play with the shirtless chef, David Templer, the naked chef, Francisco Noriega, I believe, and the topless baker, Matt Adlar.
Wow.
Sounds fun. And Glenn, let's start with you.
You know-
and actually, no, Glenn. Let's end with Glenn. No, because he is a pseudo chef and owns a restaurant. So
I'm
let's
not a
end with
pseudo
him.
chef. I like to bake,
Yeah,
but who has time?
yeah.
All right, go to
I got
somebody
lots
else.
of. All right.
Come back to me.
So Gregg Shapiro, who are you going to shag?
Okay, really very easy.
And
Check,
could you
check,
pause
check.
just a minute because I'm looking at this moment of Francisco. And it's just so wonderful. All right, Gregg.
What part of
Okay.
it?
So I would
The 8-inch part of him.
just in that the way they appear on screen, I would shag David.
Why?
He's just dreamy, and that's just not my usually
very white boy.
Not my type, but
Very
he's
white
dreamy.
boy. I've met your husband.
I
It's
would
absolutely very
marry.
white boy.
I would marry Francisco because
Yeah.
every night, Josephine, and then I would chop Matt. Just, I mean, now it makes me want to have restorative sleep looking at him. I'm sorry, Matt.
Okay, and John, who are you going to shag?
I'm gonna shag David
Well,
because I look like he could make breakfast in the morning and then leave, which is always positive. I'm going
That's a big
to.
thing for you. You want the privacy. Okay, we're done. Go.
What if
Ciao,
he's a
ciao.
bottom?
Ciao, ciao. All right.
Francisco, I'm going to marry for clearly obvious reasons. And then I have to chop Matt because, I mean, I'm a bottom. So
You know what's funny about that? No, and he's in short versions, but grays, I don't know what you would call them, workout grays,
Yeah.
which is what he's wearing. He's doing it in short shorts of workout grays. Nobody looks good in grays. Sweatpants is another
Yeah.
comment. Nobody looks
Wow.
good in it.
wow.
He looks amazing.
Amazing.
In it. Yeah, that's why we're all attracted to him.
yeah.
That's the
So,
reason.
so you're that reason, right?
Yeah.
And so that's who you're marrying. And why are you chopping that?
Because I'm a bottom. I mean, you know, we had this conversation earlier.
His
I think David's
glasses
bottom.
are so cute.
Well, yeah.
So cute.
Yeah, but, you know, they'd be okay on my nightstand. But
Okay. And Kal, who are you shagging?
So I'm going to shag Francisco and be very clear that I'm going to bottom for him.
I'm very clear on this.
Very clear.
Before the game started, I was very clear on this.
I'm going to marry Matt because I think he's super adorable and I love the glasses and he's going to bake our wedding cake and we're going to be a verse couple and it's going to be perfect. And unfortunately, I have to chop David.
Now, you seated it in there, so you clearly are baiting me to come in, and so I will. You principally identify yourself as verse?
For the right person, yes.
Oh, it has to be the
Yeah,
right
it has to be the right person.
In general, that's not your
Correct.
designation.
Yeah,
Okay.
depends.
You confuse me because I've
Yeah.
never heard you say that.
Yeah,
before.
yeah,
Okay,
but
all right.
definitely.
And the countless number of people that you've been with have always told me the same story.
Endless. I mean,
No, I'm only kidding. And Glenn, who are you shagging?
I changed my mind, so I'm shagging Francisco because please look at him.
Mm-hmm.
And then I am marrying David because I just think he'd be fun and hard to like pin down.
No, wait. I want to ask you a question, and really everybody. Francesco,
I'm not done.
Francesco. I know you're not. There's some privileges of being the host. So he obviously has the physique and the abs. That amount of hair, sexy? Not
yes.
sexy.
Sexy.
As long as it's not on his back.
just the right amount.
Yeah,
Just the right amount.
That's
the right
what's my reaction too. I'm not a hairy person, but it's
That's-
like, ooh,
Feels like he keeps it trimmed
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Right.
That's
If I can get back on my roll, 'cause it would've
Okay.
gone a lot
Otherwise, it's like you're flossing.
And the only reason I'm chopping Matt is I already have a hairdresser.
Wow.
Wow, wow. So he's a baker and a hairdresser.
Can I have Matt's
I mean,
number?
I just-
Yeah, you win. You got him.
All right. Well, they're all three really cute.
Oh, yeah,
And,
definitely.
and we love our bakers. So
I like watching
That's
things rise.
our game, Shag, Marry, Chop. We play it
To say
every
the
week.
least.
We did
what
it
I'm
for
saying.
we did it in the first episode. I've told this story before. When we launched, I believe on September 20th, 2019, the first time we played the game of Shag, Marry, Chop, we thought it was called Fuck, Marry, Kill. And we played with Donald and Donald Jr. and the idiot one, whatever his name was.
You gotta be more specific.
Eric?
Eric, yeah.
Eric. And while we were playing the game, we got pulled right off the air in social media because it did not dawn on us as we got reported instantaneously to the Secret Service that we were trying to kill the President of the United States.
Yeah.
That was our first episode of this game.
Donald Jr. can get it.
Yeah. Wait, what does that mean?
Use your imagination.
Ooh, that's funny. Okay.
Get it? Oh, yeah.
I'm going to try to get that out of my head as quickly as it came in. All right, before we end tonight's show, we thank our sponsor, Jet Pizza.
Ooh, let me hold it up for you.
Vanna White is not right on top of it. If you got to try a pizza here in South Florida, it's the choice for the LGBTQ plus community. Jet's Pizza, it's quite really good. This is the cauliflower version of the pepperoni. They have Detroit style thick, lots of really, really great things at Jet's Pizza.
You said
All of us
lit up.
at Happening Out, all of our hosts of the show tonight are getting ready to enjoy themselves after the show. All right, it's time to say goodnight. So let's hear from our host for one final time. And let's begin with a good night from Kal Gajraj.
Good night, everyone. Just with Al and with everyone else, I was at the LGBT Democratic Caucus on Sunday for the drag brunch and had a fantastic time. And I just wanted to reiterate how important it is for us to vote, not only for our LGBTQ plus candidates, but also our allies. And it's important for everyone to register to vote, to go out to vote. Like, it doesn't matter, about party lines. You need to just go and vote because every vote counts. And I don't think everyone realizes that.
Our shock is they may realize it and still not care.
Yes.
So you say that 10,000 times more between now and November 8th, and we'll always appreciate you saying it. Thank you. And a good night from Glen Weinzimer.
The thing that's been on my mind all day today, and I'm glad you brought up Patrick, his passing today when I found out this morning was on my mind all day. I met him like 25, 30 years ago. He was roommates with a friend of ours. But my friend and Mark were talking last night. At the moment that he passed, they just happened to be on the phone. And when they checked the time later, it was at the exact moment. And they went to, he was in hospice, and they were there last week, and they did a teleconference, the three of them on the call, with Mark in the room with him. And so, yeah, it was weird because he's one of the kindest people that there was. And so he's on my mind, and I pray for his peace as he's moved on.
Beautifully said. Thank you very much. And a good night from John Hayden.
Al, as you mentioned earlier, you and I will be moderators at the forum at Wilton Manor's for Wilton Manor's Mayor and Commission at Hagen Park Community Center this coming Monday. We are going to broadcast not only it, we're also going to do the show Queer News Tonight live on location. So it's going to be great. You're going to get to see a good show here. You always say where you see it live, no matter what happens, the good and the bad. You can see it in person on Monday. So please come out.
And I'll be in the audience.
Oh, have you got your ticket? You got to get your ticket because I was talking with Peter Jackson of Wilton Manor's Business Association. He says it's almost sold out.
Oh, excellent.
So yeah, get your ticket.
Totally worth
Great.
it.
That's totally worth it. And a good night from Gregg Shapiro.
To reiterate what Kal said, vote as if your life depended on it because it does.
Absolutely. Well, that's it. Another week with It's Happening Out. You sat right here at the LGBTQ plus kitchen table as we kiki on so many things, especially top and bottom things, top of the agenda and the bottom of the agenda that are important to our community. I have to tell you, It's Happening Out is going to be very important to me personally in the coming months. I've realized that I'm moving into a very dark place. And I'll just say publicly that I'm moving into a very dark place because maybe it helps other people that are also moving in a dark place. I did the Florida LGBTQ Democratic Caucus. I had a 25-minute interview with Charlie Crist and a 25-minute interview with Nikki Fried. They were both so incredibly generous with their time. And the reason is because they think, and Laura Book, Lauren Book, who is the Democratic chairman of the Florida Senate, and so many others that I interviewed. I ended up with, I think, 15, 16 interviews. LGBT is so incredibly important this year. It is beyond important this year. Nikki Fried won Agriculture Commission. I went back and looked it up. 8.1 million votes, and she won her seat by 4,000 votes. 4 out of 8.1 million. And what did that give us? The only LGBT embracing statewide candidate in Florida in a decade. And what did Nikki Fried do? She appointed Nick Harris as a special LGBTQ fighter and liaison for her office for consumer services for LGBT. And when Nick took the job at HRC, appointed Nathan Brummer as the first trans male to represent a cabinet post in Tallahassee. Elections matter. And with what we're watching, it's really, really important. It's happening out as important because we didn't talk really about any of those kind of things tonight. All you have to do is watch Queer News Tonight. We're talking about it there. But the important thing for me of why I'm in a dark place is it's really a dark time. Our children, our youth, our trans health care, our marriage, our sodomy laws, our destruction of verbal communication of how we're groomers and sex traffickers and prostitutes and more in Florida, in Texas, and in other places in the country. It's depressing. And I realized, wow, doing Queer News Tonight and doing this, it's starting to affect me. So it's a good challenge. So it's happening out. It's going to help me get through these next 3, 4, 5 months leading up to November 8th. And we hope that November 9th we'll be able to say all of our efforts were worthwhile. But even if they are not, we have to survive all of this. Al has to survive this darkness. I realize it. And in the last couple of weeks, I've started to realize I've got to concentrate on my own mental health and wellness. And I bet there's a lot of you out there that are exactly in the same position. We're going to try at It's Happening Out, and all of us, as much as we are shady and make jokes, we know what's really, really important. And what I just told you, I think, is what's really important. We invite you to follow us on our 501c3 nonprofit experiment. Is our LGBTQ plus community important to you? Our mission means we deeply believe it is. Pick up Hotspots magazine on newsstands all over South Florida. Queer News Tonight is covering the LGBTQ plus news of South Florida and America and our world, and is daily and live at 8 p.m. on Roku, Apple TV, and many other television platforms. And our flagship is with you right now, here tonight, and every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Because remember, if it's important to you, it's happening out. Until next time, good night.
Good night, everyone.
Night.